the pledge of
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda is the Gretchen Topping Waterhouse at Sanctum LLC. Modification. We still do not have all the required information, so we're going to set that off for another month.
We need a resolution to adjourn that to
I'll
August
make
10th.
that motion with a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
274 and 294 Sag Main Street, which was also for lot line modification. The applicant is requesting withdrawal of the application. I'll make a motion to withdraw that application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meadowmere, 3491 Montauk Highway.
Wait, you're skipping up.
What did I skip?
Yeah, 53 segment.
53 Sag Main Street. Okay, we had a project which I think they ran amok a little bit, had an original plan which was approved, and then they changed the topography without approving the board. We've had input from our planning consultant, Rich Warren.
You can just see his head over the
I'm
keyboard.
here.
Right. Hi, Rich.
Hi.
Thank you, Rich.
And then Matt is.
For Winter Science. It was a very nice presentation, very detailed as usual. Appreciate that. Is there anything else you want to add at this time?
No, I mean, this project has been through quite a few iterations to try to address the issues and concerns that have been raised during the course of the review. They've made significant changes to it from when it first came in. And I think at this point, subject to any comments from the village engineer, I think it's ready for approval.
Okay.
If you want, I can go through the details of it. It's up to you.
No, I don't think so. I mean, hopefully the board read through all of it, and it's very detailed and addresses all the points. And I appreciate you showing up on Zoom today. I don't know if you're supposed to be on a golf course or not, but
I wish. I wish.
okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Our engineering consultant would be next.
So we didn't have too many comments, but, I think it should be approved. The only comments would be stormwater pollution prevention type comments, which would be silk fence installed during construction and a concrete washout pit so that if the concrete truck washes out, it's in a contained area. And that's it. Those are just standard construction stormwater pollution prevention procedures.
Great.
And the applicant is here as well, Bill.
Oh, okay. Any comments from the applicant? No, you're happy?
We're happy. We'll be happy after the motion. Thank you.
Do we have a resolution?
So,
with that?
yes, so what I would recommend is make a motion to approve subject to resolution of the village attorney.
Okay, I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, Meadowmere. They're still having to go around with the Board of Health, supposedly making progress. We have a request to give them an additional 90-day extension. I'll make a motion to give that extension. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, as far as minutes, I don't think we're going to approve them now. Everybody will take a read and make any corrections before the next board meeting.
Bill, can I interrupt for one
Sure,
second?
absolutely.
That ends the planning portion. We have Matt and Rich online. Do you need them for any further into the
I
meeting?
don't think so. Thank you very much for
They can be
coming.
excused.
Yep, we can
Okay.
excuse.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Rich.
Bye-bye.
So before the next meeting, we'll make any corrections if necessary to the various meetings, minutes from various preceding meetings. Yeah. Let's see, we have correspondence from Southampton Police. Monthly report.
Excuse me.
Is that?
All those on the Zoom meeting, please mute yourself. Thank you.
Was that your wheelhouse?
What's that?
The
Please.
Police report?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Getting ready to ask me to go on through that?
Yes.
Yes, I am. There's nothing really out of the ordinary, except that there were a whole lot more police stops. Let's see, what did I stop? In May, there were 68 traffic stops, in June, 103, and everything else was pretty much the same. Fire calls, 11 in May, 34 in June. Fire alarms, some mostly, nothing came of them. And then burglary alarms, there were 16 and 11 in June, a lot of them false as well. So nothing out of the ordinary. That's it.
And our current guy on duty has someone pulled over right around the corner on Sagamore.
We do have a full complement of the new part-timers. So every now and then they have a full-timer plugged in the schedule, but it's mostly all the new part-timers.
There's one thing I have a question about. Extra patrols, I'm not sure what that means. They've written it down as extra patrols.
I'm not
Does that
sure
mean
either.
extra, like there's 2 guys on duty?
I don't know, I don't know, Bill, maybe you know better what an extra patrol is. From your past experience. I can find out.
Yeah, extra patrols on June 13th, Sag Road and Narrow Lane. Maybe they had to call a second cop car for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because it is the Charlie 48 car,
Yes,
so I don't know why they are considering it. an
and
extra,
then also on the
patrol.
18th, I don't know what that was, but anyway.
It's down at Saguenay Beach.
If
If they go down to Saguenay Beach, they may put that address
Yeah.
in, just because it's the
Okay.
address that shows up in
Yeah.
the system. That one doesn't have a car at all, so I don't know who that was.
No,
So. But we can find out. Still, I don't want to mention the meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah, if you'd like to come, Tuesday, I'm supposed to meet with the, whoever is representing the police department.
oh, what time?
I want to say 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Oh, thank you.
I think I can do that. Do we go somewhere or they come here?
No, they come here.
Okay, at Village,
Yeah.
Brody remind me.
I will send every reminder email.
I have a 3 o'clock thing for here.
No, it's definitely in the morning.
So that's it.
Yeah, I forget which months I was looking at, but it just didn't seem like on a shift or something, there was doing that many traffic tickets. But Rhodey pointed out that as summer goes on, or we have the part-timers or something, that tends to pick up quite a bit. But I think it's something I like to encourage them to stress that we don't want them just sitting here, generate a few more tickets, and
Well,
not that we get the money, but somebody else gets the money.
it also depends on how many people are around. I mean, January,
Yeah, true.
February, March, you're not gonna get much, like
Right.
April,
Yeah.
May, and June, July.
I saw Rich feel like Sunday, and he was at the bridge like 6:30 in the morning. So he
Good boy.
knew, well, we've had Rich for 14
The
years.
side bridge or the train?
Oh, I
trestle?
meant the side bridge. I'm not brave enough to go over the train trestle one in the early morning, but he's been with us for what, the whole time?
Rich is at least 5 years.
Oh, I feel like I know.
I don't think he started from the beginning, but he and
So he was
Jude are
down by the
two
bridge,
oldest
which early in the
ones.
morning with the commute is
Oh,
great.
right,
Yeah.
right.
It's nice to see some we recognize.
Yes.
I didn't really realize that end of it, with your traffic situation in the mornings and the afternoons. And I think they take Daniels and Hedges more than Parsons,
Parsons, they
so,
do, yeah. And
but I do
Merrill.
know there are a lot of cars on the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Main Street. too.
Yeah.
So we'll let them stay over on Hedges and Daniels.
Moving on to your road.
okay, we got a certificate of achievement from PERMA, that's our insurance agent for workman's comp for no injuries, which is great. We can hang that up. That's the end of the correspondence, I believe. On those matters, old business is none. New business. Okay, so is this something we're doing now or just, it's coming up on the next meeting?
But so these are just things that will be acted upon next week.
Okay.
So you can discuss them
Right.
this week. If anybody has any questions, concerns, or if you need us to get more information for next week, we can do that. The two items that you probably want to have a little discussion would be 408 Narrow Lane.
Right.
I'm just looking to see if, John, are you on the Zoom meeting? I don't think so. I don't see
He's
him.
out there.
No, not John Woodsman.
Oh, not
The
Tom.
gentleman who's, the attorney who's representing this 408 Carolyn. Oh, wait, and then I'm bringing him in.
Anyway, there's an engagement letter. There are auditors, I believe.
Yes, those are
Right,
our
okay.
village auditors.
So that'll be up next week.
Same price, that we
It's always fun to read that stuff. The next item would be 408 Narrow Lane East, which is the concrete block structure north side of the Narrow Lane East at the intersection with, it was the old Grader House near Wainscott Harbor Road. And the building was partially constructed on the village right of way.
Oh, we're on, Wayne.
John, are you, you don't have your video on?
Good afternoon, all. John Borkman of O'Shea Marcinsick and Bruin here. And I'm bringing in my partner Wayne Bruin also in a moment.
So these are the representatives, Bill, of
Okay.
408 Town Line, I'm sorry, Narrow Lane.
Yes, we're here on behalf of Stephen Miller, the owner of 408 Narrow Lane.
Stephen Miller?
Correct.
Excuse me, those on Zoom, do not add to anything unless you are questioned by the board so that the board knows who's speaking. Thank you. John, go ahead.
Yes, if you could just let in my partner Wayne Bruin, he's trying to get in at the moment also.
Are you saying, you're getting muffled, John? Yep, I got him. Okay, he's coming in. You there, Wayne?
Good afternoon.
Okey dokey. There he is. So Wayne is on the, just above the keyboard, and then John is right next to him in the center there.
Good afternoon, all.
Do you want them to present?
You know, maybe just lightly, because then we'll really set the public hearing for next meeting. I don't want to expand the record too much, Brody, so maybe just see what they have to say for today.
Sure.
And then we'll set the public hearing at our actual board meeting next week.
Okay. Go ahead, guys.
You want us to say anything or?
So Wayne or John, This is the first time the board's hearing this. The plan is today just to familiarize them lightly with this. And then next week we'll vote to set the public hearing for sometime in probably the August meeting.
Okay, I'll do that. So Wayne Bruin, O'Shea Marcinsick and Bruin on behalf of Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is the owner of a roughly 9,000 square foot parcel located on the corner of Wainscott Harbor Road and Narrow Lane, that northwest corner. The northerly boundary is the Long Island Railroad. There is a one-story masonry building that's been there for many years, early 1900s, I'm told. It was associated with the former railroad station. And that was the building that was more or less used for, I believe, crops, potatoes being loaded onto the railroad track in the past. In the early 50s, the property was converted to a residence. And since then, it's been maintained as a residence, which it's in a residential zone and conforms. Recently, Mr. Miller went to the building inspector and tried to get a permit to add solar panels to the structure. And he was told by Mr. Woodsma that he could not issue those permits because there wasn't a certificate of occupancy for the premises, which is the case. And that an application was made for pre-existing certificate of occupancy, but Mr. Woodsman noted that certain portions of the structure extended out into the rights of way of the adjoining streets. And many of those portions of the structure have existed since the time the building was built. So in consultation with the village attorney, we identified a section in the village law that allows the village board to consider granting a license agreement, which is entirely revocable if and when the village ever desired to do work in and adjacent to in the street right away. And it's recognizing that these are encroachments that do not impact or have a negative impact on the use of the highway. It requires the board to hold the public hearing. It also requires you to get input from your village engineer and others with respect to the impact on the highway. And so the request was made. We prepared a draft license agreement, which I believe was reviewed by the village attorney. And part of the agreement requires us to maintain insurance, and we provided an insurance certificate that would be accepted by the village in the event that you grant the license. So the first step here would be that the village board, as was noted at the beginning of the discussion, to schedule a public hearing on this. And if you have any questions, I can give you more details, but certainly there's a survey that identifies this, and I would hope that the board at your leisure could drive by and take a look at what we're talking about as well, and see that it really doesn't impact the little portions of the structures that are within the right of way do not impact the use of.
That's a good summary. I appreciate that. Anybody have questions?
No.
Okay, no, that's great. We'll look at it again in a week. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
so
you,
should
John.
I wait if you're going to schedule a hearing? Or
We'll schedule it next week. It'll be on the agenda for setting the public hearing at next week's meeting.
Okay, perfect.
They do a motion to adjourn it to next week's
Thank you
meeting.
all.
This is just a discussion. We'll bring it up at new business next week, and then we'll vote on it then.
Okay.
Perfect. And then I'm assuming the hearing would be scheduled for your August meeting.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Let's see, we have a request from Jane Helen, who has a subdivision near Toxabout Pond to release a performance bond I think we have a determination by our engineers that we can partially release it again. The remainder we'd hold until we get a final survey of locating all of the drainage structures. The original plot layout couldn't be followed because utilities have been installed in some of the locations and some of the drainage was going, so the original drawing is not accurate. And so we need an as-built drawing.
Correct.
Yeah. So we need a resolution now to release that, or that's next
You
week?
do it next week too.
As well.
Okay. Joseph to Christopher, music at the Old Stove Pub.
Let me see if he's.
Yes.
Joe to Christopher, are you on the Zoom meeting? I don't see him in there, Bill. I don't see him on here.
Well, we'll move
He's
on,
definitely
and
not
if
in
he
the
should
meeting.
show up, we can always go back to it.
Okay.
Oh, boy, here we go, discussion items. This is me stirring the pot a bit. Public porta potties. It's been a peeve of mine for quite a while. I don't want to get into stories, but I've been on narrow lane east for 40 years, and we have woods next to us. And for 40 years, people have been stopping and leaving themselves in the woods because there are no public bathrooms out here. And if you ever ask Mary Foster about the condition of the waterfront next to Sag Bridge, she used to farm the field directly adjacent to the bridge. And she said it was disgusting because people would relieve themselves on the edge of the pond. I'm sure they find that material in the water at times. Anyway, I think it's really in terms of human dignity to have some porta johns around the town year round. So not only the people who walk, bike and run here, but also the hundreds of people who provide service to us have a place to relieve themselves. I would propose to have one across the street from my house. So it's not about NIMBYism. I want one in my neighborhood. I think one should be at Sag Bridge. And I think the third one, this is a minimum, that we should have one where the trail system joins with Daniels Lane. And if we ever get an arm back, I would volunteer to construct an arbor and plant a vine on any one of these that stuck out too badly.
Well, that's the whole issue. What's it gonna look like?
Well, near my house, it'll be the edge of the woods, so it's not really very visible.
If you move the Daniels Lane idea over to the corner of Peters Pond, in that section, you also solve the beach problem.
I'm fine with that. I was
And you
just,
have all those pine trees.
I was concerned that the
Naturally
house, we put it closer to the house. That was my only concern.
Well, the way the trail works, you cross Daniels and then go a little bit on Daniels and then down Peters Pond to the beach. And then you can round trip your way back to the highway if you choose, or one way. But you have a wonderful already planted group of stuff there, for lack of a better description. The Christmas tree farm. So
Anyway, I'm springing this on you and just think about it, but it was something I think we really should do. I was embarrassed. It's not up anymore, but there used to be a sign at the general store that said, no restrooms, go to Starbucks or go to Speedway gas station. And that's, to me, that's just horrible. And most of the year, the town provides nothing at the beach. This spring, a friend of mine said, come on, Bill, let's go for a bike ride to the beach. And so for the first time in many years, we rode to the beach. And he had had coffee before we got down there. And we got there and there was no porta john. And he went off by the bushes by the pond, which probably pollutes the pond. But, you know, in terms, people use these things all year round now. And I think we should provide for that. Anyway, you guys think about it. I've got enough to stir the pot with it here. The next thing, right-of-way encroachments, actually had a meeting with the highway superintendent this morning, and he's much more amenable to working with us. It's not an argument about the legalities of our intermunicipal agreement about road maintenance, which says that they should be taking care of a lot of these encroachments. He's quite willing to go after that. The particular spot, I mean, the end of Bridge Lane, where all that stuff is grown in. I think somebody told me somebody was hit there at some point.
One of my neighbors, 25-year-old son was hit there jogging.
I mean, people can't get off the pavement because brush is going up to the side of the road.
Where is this?
The end of Bridge Lane.
The south side corner of Bridge Lane and Sagamore. The old Matheson property.
this
when they
end.
were-
And the north side too is really.
The north isn't great either, no.
Yeah,
The people come around so quickly, it's
Oh,
like,
right.
it's really scary.
And all those stakes that people put in, like when the irrigation starts flooding the road, which is another part of this conversation, encroachment wise.
right.
The stakes, start to go and they, they go with the wind, some land in the road, some land. And some of the stakes have a rope attached from stake to stake. And all that is not good for any type of pedestrian travel. I took a picture for you and I'll show it to you later. It's in my phone. On Bridge Lane, the town came to fix the mud puddle, the big
Oh,
opposite you, and they put all the dirt in the little pedestrian area too. So I'm not sure they understood that we were trying to keep those cleaned, so people had a place to walk or jump out over. But anyway, we also have construction driveways that are coming out on Sagamore. They're rocks totally over the pedestrian lane that we just put in.
right. Well, I think once they want a certificate of occupancy, that stuff will get cleared up because I know John is.
Capture those construction sites right now, so just let me know which ones they are, and that's on the, they shouldn't have to be out on the road.
Yeah,
It's pavement.
right, the dump truck that put the construction driveway, huge rocks in, because they're bigger than driveway rocks.
Yes, they are.
They just keep
Construction.
coming out and then you have all that in
Is
the
it at
way, so
778?
people are walking out and around and we wanna keep people, it sounds horrible, out of the middle of the street. We want them
Oh,
the sides or in the lanes that we've been slowly putting in place.
Is 778 one of the ones? Because I think they just drive. Okay, John, okay. So
No.
basically, you're telling us that the town needs to clean up certain sections of our village?
Yeah, McCardle seemed very receptive to that. He said that currently he's working with the whatever supervisory people who were held over from the previous superintendent. And a lot of them were assigned to, I would say somebody from Hampton Bays would be assigned out here as maybe as a punishment. And so instead of having Tom Domkowski here, I mean, that's why he quit, because he was assigned somewhere else as punishment for God knows what. Instead of having somebody with local knowledge, they have people who don't really live in our part of the town. And I think he hoped that at the end of the year, something happens where he can change those assignments. Right?
And it
That's-
makes more
Yes.
sense to have people like Tom, all
Right.
those years that actually live in the East End,
Right,
that understand, and they're not commuting from Patchogue or Islip or wherever.
right.
It
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot of
No,
sense.
he's very aware of that, and he seemed, I think he'll be doing a good job. He's very tuned into how people think and detail-minded. In terms of right-of-way encroachments, you get to the south end of Town Line Road. I know that was on the agenda of the previous mayor, and but didn't get to do something with it. I believe the town is actually going to take on some of that, and whatever they don't, we will. The property is owned by the village, and we are representatives of the village to ensure that the village residents can use it. There are obstructions which block people from walking through there. I know at a previous hearing, I think it was in February, people were stating how when you combine the blockages by parking on the East Hampton side, which extend into the road, and work trucks parked on our side of the street, oftentimes people are forced to walk in traffic lanes with traffic, people bike in traffic lanes, and they should have an alternative to that. And the minimum is to clear the right of way, which provides the right of passage to everybody in the village. Anyway, that's something which I hope we, continue on with and accomplish before next summer. In addition to that, I think maybe a sidewalk. I know in the correspondence from some of the citizens down there, somebody mentioned sidewalks, which I know seem very like we're becoming a city, but the fact is we have a tremendous number of people here which weren't here. The rural nature of the place has been eternally changed. And maybe there's some tasteful way that we can put a sidewalk in down there, a possibility to get people out of the street. And I don't think it would have solved the problem we had recently, the horrendous catastrophe there, but it would at least provide people a way to get out of the street. I think we should look at that.
We need to get East Hampton to get out of the road.
Yeah, right.
And we need to, we've surveyed our side of the road, but East Hampton's side being surveyed might provide for some width that we're not aware of.
Right.
And we need to obviously work with them. And actually that all of Town Line Road is in desperate need of paving. So this is a time that we need to meet with them. And
I have a meeting scheduled with the supervisor for next week. I don't know if somebody could attend it with me easily. Lily will be there. And when is it? Was it 1:30 on
1:30 on Monday.
on Monday? If somebody is clear on their calendar and wants to attend it with me, that's right.
Who's the supervisor?
Peter Van Scoy,
Yeah.
he's been for a while, supervisor. He was a trustee for many years too.
Well, you know him, right?
Yeah.
Take her.
Yeah, no, that's.
No,
fine.
I just don't know if I can do it.
Yeah,
I
I know
will let you
Don
know.
said that he had met with him before and was basically stonewalled on the things that he asked for. And specifically, I mean, the simplest thing is to put a stop sign on the east side of Town Line Road where it intersects with Daniels Lane. We put in a stop sign. If you've been down there, it's scary. People leave the beach and they speed.
Yeah.
And it's very.
And he
helpful.
would not do that. No, he wouldn't,
Yeah,
I remember that. He was not willing.
yeah.
Put a stop sign up.
Maybe he would be now. I think
Oh,
things
yeah.
are different. Things have changed.
And at the far end of the road, there's no an inadequate turnaround. When we clean up our side of the road, it will provide more room for emergency vehicles, anything that goes down there to turn around and provide access. And they have parking almost all the way down to the beach. If they removed like 4 parking spaces, moved the no parking area up, 60 feet, it would provide better emergency access to the beach.
Move it back.
Yeah, they don't need to park all the way down to the beach.
Yeah. So also on Town Line Road, while you're talking about that, Barbara DeAndre spoke, and this is on our side, and we could do this in a week from my previous experience on the board. The current commuter traffic pattern, all the people moving to get off Montauk Highway are being sent it appears via Hedges Lane. I've never seen anything like this because I have the same patterns where I'm going. And if you're sitting on Old Wainscott Main Street and you need to go left down Town Line Road, which I believe Barbara lives down at that end, in my memory.
Yeah, she and her
And-
husband own two lots.
Lots down
the
there.
waterfront.
So initially, everyone is coming down Hedges Lane and they're coming around onto Town Line, and because there's no stop sign on our side, they're doing what they do at that, I'm gonna call it Suicide Corner in Sag Harbor. They keep moving and you never can get across.
Right,
And on Thursday and Friday, when I'm coming back from camp, pickups with my grandkids, I can't turn left on Town Line Road to get home to Daniels.
Yeah.
You cannot do it, and I'm glad, thank you for agreeing. So what you have to do is you have to turn right and go down Hedges of Parsonage and ooch around to get back to where you live.
Is this any time of day?
It tends to be early in the morning, and they start commute 2:33.
But they're going the other way, I think.
Commute goes
Coming
both
down
ways.
Hedges Lane and then making a left onto Main, it's really difficult to make a left
You can't.
onto Town Line Road. So if you want to go to Daniels Lane, it's really frustrating. I
And
agree.
it's impossible, and if you dare take a chance.
Right.
It's right where the abandoned car was, actually, that I told you about. But anyway, we've been able in previous meetings, and Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think Barbara DeAndre is 100% right on that stop sign, and we could get that in a week or two, I think. And
The stop sign where?
Where is the stop sign that you're proposing?
she's proposing that if you come down Hedges and you turn right on Town Line,
Oh, gosh, right there on Town Line.
and we're talking about on our side of Town
On our
Line,
side,
putting a
okay.
stop sign right by Wainscott Main Street, so they don't buzz
Oh,
there,
okay.
and people who need to go to Town Line South or Daniels or any of the side roads south, they can actually turn. You cannot turn.
Yeah.
So do we want to think about that during the week? Put that on as
Put it
an
on
agenda
next
item
week,
for next week on a resolution? They will all take a look at that intersection.
That would be also something, would be nice, if East Hampton Town can coordinate the same thing. if we
Yes.
can. That meeting to bring to supervisor's attention, because again, putting it in on our side, just like it happened down where we put the new stop sign at Daniel,
Daniels, yes.
you're only getting the southern
One half.
traffic, only one half of the lane.
Technically, it should go in both locations, and it should go on the East Hampton side of, on Town Line at Wainscott Main Street. It should go at Daniels, where he wasn't willing to do previously for us. But I think we should go ahead because we agree it's unsafe.
The issue is just for morning commute, right?
No, it
No.
happens summer.
Oh,
If
I
you're,
take that route all the time, it's just
Yeah, no
impossible.
problem.
it's impossible, and it's becoming with the, I call it COVID aggressive driving. People who are coming off of getting more freedom and doing vacations and stuff. I am amazed there hasn't been a problem at that intersection.
Does it become more dangerous if we only put up bars and East Hampton doesn't put up theirs?
yes, sure it does. Yeah, we need it both ways.
Well, I wouldn't
I
guarantee
think
from our
it's-
previous experience that we can do it quickly. I don't guarantee that we get a response.
I think I actually think that it's better. I think East Hampton should do it, and there's many reasons they should do it, but whether they do it or not, I think it's important, because most of the traffic comes from there. There's usually not there's not that much traffic. It's not consistent traffic coming from the south. to
So
the-
sometimes stop signs, they don't have a mirror on the other side. It's confusing because, you see those signs that say oncoming traffic does not stop, as it gets more confusing without a mirror.
That's true. If they're
Yeah.
making a left and these people don't stop.
Right, they don't stop, they're
All right,
going into a
you're right.
non-stop sign control intersection, especially if it's on a straight away, and then you want to make the left, that car's not stopping, it could be a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
So maybe what we can do is if you have the meeting on Monday with the supervisor, bring this up to them, see how fast they can do it, we can act on it by resolution extremely fast.
On Wednesday.
Right.
So you're gonna need another stop sign.
No, East Hampton needs one.
We're
East
gonna
Hampton
buy them
needs two.
wholesale.
One at Daniels and
Wholesale
one
stop
at,
signs.
Yeah.
Main Street.
We've been trying to get one on Daniels on the East Hampton side since we put ours in. But the supervisor was very hard to get a meeting with, as well as he was.
A yes.
A yes, yes.
Well, one of the things that occurs to me that I was told that traditionally the two towns cooperated, and now we're a village in between the towns. So the village should cooperate, or East Hampton should cooperate with us in terms of the maintenance of Town Line Road. The paving is in fairly bad shape. I don't know what the plan is, going on right now in terms of what you guys had in terms of the next paving job.
We really haven't come up
We
with
haven't
a
come up with that yet.
plan yet.
We exhausted to this point. The last big one was the hedges, those are the through roads. Did Sac Main Street, Daniels, Hedges and Parsonage. So
And Bridge.
Sag Road and Bridge, Sag Road and Sagaponic Road are the last two, and Narrow was done just before we incorporated.
Yeah.
And Town Line, and we did Wainscott Harbor Road. We did Town Line.
Are you looking for a house? No, I can't.
Yourself, thank you.
Excuse
me.
Sidewalk Street, the house you rented last year.
Can
To August.
You can hear them?
But she has to take everyone out.
Anyway, so the north part of Town Line Road, the Sub-County Water Authority put a main in, so they repaved that. That's the part that we or the town is responsible for, but because it's capital improvements, we are responsible for. So that one was done, Scott Line was done, Wainscott Harbor Road was done. The only other ones are the cul-de-sac subdivision roads that we haven't done.
Well, I mean, was it Sag Road going to the railroad bridge? That's getting rough, but that can sit a bit. I mean, we do have some paving money. I'm just wondering if I should try to propose to him that we get together and say pave between Parsonage Lane and the Daniels Lane. And in the paving, we put up stop signs at each intersection. I would love to see those speed tables. So
Yeah.
people, if you're gonna go 40 miles an hour through a stop sign, you're gonna notice the speed table, right?
What
I
are you
mean,
talking about, speed table? What's that?
Speed tables.
It's in that document.
They're like big speed bumps, but they have a flat top.
Oh, the speed tables, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think,
But, okay, so
That would be a great
Well, no, I think at the same time, take it out to 28 feet, so people want to bike. If you want to do a loop where you go down Daniels, Uptown Line, across Hedges, people like to do loops. I mean, this way, there'll still be a shoulder that people could use, even though they're stepping outside the village. Get it all in one package.
well, it'd be smart to do it and get it set for the spring paving season. I agree with you.
Yeah,
And,
Why Parsonage to Daniels? Why not the whole road?
we'll work with East Hampton and figure out. I think you would have to do it in one contract and split the fee, because how else, you can't do a little part here and a little
I
part.
mean, you could do it in segments, but the best part of it is to have one contractor fully deployed and ready to go, just like we just recently did,
Right.
one unitary project.
And we would agree, now we have surveys for quite a few segments of Town Line Road on our side.
Not as many as we did on Sag Main Street, but.
But if we
I'll
planned
dig
it
up
for
and
a
see
spring paving
what I
and
have.
worked with East Hampton, and widened and cleaned up some of the encroachments.
I know there's a portion of Town Line Road where there's not a big verge. I think it's down by Hedges, but I'm not 100% positive on that.
On the survey.
Yeah. But you would want to do a survey before you do that anyway, to see
Yeah,
what.
well, and
What's what?
I think Peter Ranskoya needs to do a survey down by the ocean, like the segment we've done our side. And we know what's there available to make it wider and safer and a variety of other things that we all would feel strongly about. But we don't know what's on the East Hampton side. And I do see hedges on the East Hampton side, and then the cars are parking out in the road. So
Right.
I would be curious if the verge on the other side is equally as helpful as our side potentially could be. We know what we have. I don't know what they have.
I don't think they have much. Remember Don was saying how.
Yeah,
We have the most.
oh yeah, well, we have 18 feet, right? But I would still question that if you move some of those hedges, there's gotta be more there than, you know, the hedges planted to the edge of the road.
I was mentioning from Parsonage South, I didn't know how much money we had available. I don't think we want to be bonding out work.
1.7.
Oh,
No.
okay.
That's enough.
I didn't know.
No, that's enough. If we,
capital.
if we split
So,
it,
so we would probably have enough to handle
Yeah.
half of, from Montauk Highway down. I can't remember what it looks like, that last stretch up to Montauk Highway.
Sag,
Is that
Main
rough?
Street cost us 1.2
Yeah,
with the widening.
right.
you also have, oh, you're right, after the Town Line Barbecue coming south on our side, you have those gravel drainage, which would impede your ability on riprap to widen, unless you move the drainage stuff further back.
Yeah, so that do the French drains, they just move them in
Yeah, that's
and
true.
use them as a French drain. That's village property now.
Oh, that they are, yeah.
The French drains, can you park a heavy workman's truck on them?
I don't think it's a good
They
idea.
were doing it down there on
Gibson,
Gibson.
yeah, I
noticed
they
that.
were.
And they,
Everything stuck, and one of them turned over. I mean.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
I think it's
Maybe you
become
need
more
a
solid
sign to
over
say-
time.
Right now, as it stands now, that it's all grassed in and seeded in,
Yeah, it looks more solid.
it's obvious because the guy that has that house, where the old Swanson house.
The job that never ends,
Yeah,
the
but
construction job.
he,
Probably told them not
his
to. park.
landscapers, he cut the hedge way back, squared that all up. And then they maintain that whole French drain, they cut it.
Yeah.
They go right down and maintain it. So right now, it's clear that a big truck is not gonna try to. drive
No, I
it.
wouldn't think they would, yeah. And it's also packed down nicely in the beginning
Yeah.
stage when they first built it, when that truck kind of flipped into it sideways. It had just been put in place and the rocks hadn't settled and
Yeah, so I think it'll serve its purpose now, I think, now that it's maintained.
South of Daniels Lane, I don't think I'd want to widen it because it would simply, East Hampton would push over more. I don't think, we provide room for people to walk. If you put a path in for bicycles and stuff, it would get the foot traffic out of the road, which is really who's endangered. Vehicles, I mean, if they crash, but with airbags, they don't do much damage. But we really want to get the people out of the road. And I know talking with somebody, they said, oh, widen the road and then have people walk on the edge of the road. And that I don't believe worked because it just encourages East Hampton to encroach on us even more.
well, we do have to come up, the group from Erica's Lane, I think it was, correct? We do have to come up with some solution for somehow on Town Line or maybe around the corner on Daniels for our residents that need to bring a car. They
That's
may-
tricky.
They may be able to get down there and drop their beach chairs and et cetera, and once we get that metal thing out at the end. Or did they do it already?
No, wait for the final markouts.
Okay. So we really have to come up with a way for our residents, since East Hampton is ticketing our residents and we own half the beach.
Right.
Somehow they have to be able to,
Well, I'm fully in favor of
Yeah.
having, establishing a village resident parking. Have our own sticker and have places that people can park. I would not want to open that up to the town. The town has had 50 years to clean up the right of way and provide something there. They have Peters Pond Lane, which is going to crap and we don't own it. It was paved at one time, they don't maintain it. I don't think if we're gonna spend the money and it's our right of way, that we allow it, the town to issue parking stickers for other parts of our village. I don't think we have to provide it there. I think we should have our own separate access.
I think town line needs only one side parking, period.
we had talked, I think what we were
It still have-
around the corner, something on Daniels that
Yeah.
people would walk down on the sidewalk.
You can still
To the
have more room for people to walk and get rid of all the impediments that the
Yeah.
landowners have put up. But I don't think you should have parking on the west side.
But we might have
West
space
side.
on Daniels.
Yeah.
For people to
Well,
park.
you're gonna go to Skoyak and make a deal with them like we used to do, and they gave 25 village residents of Sagaponic stickers to park on the east side. Or
That's
10
up to
or
them.
whatever.
Well, they took that away,
They
Yeah,
took it away.
Right,
East Hampton.
right.
Now
And,
they need to add it back.
and the Waste Community Board or whatever they are, this was very surprised to learn that we meaning Sagaponic residents couldn't park anymore down there. Because, you know, when anybody sees cars, they don't necessarily look at the stickers. So it's not right to eliminate our residents from that beach.
Well, let's get it clear and then we can take a look at it. See what there's room for,
Okay.
you know, one step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time.
And that's the only way you can do it.
I think we need to do better truck signage at the bridges. I know the highway superintendent said he didn't think it would help, but I think there is signage which will eliminate at least a few of the trucks. I know my neighbors north of the highway, the Wood Railroad Bridge, they're terrified that it's going to get broken again like it was years ago. And that it just snarls up traffic.
It got broken
Yeah.
or it burned?
Kenny Olstowski laughed and said he broke it.
I burned it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he took a 10-wheel dump truck pulling a Cat 951 and a trailer over the bridge and broke it.
So that was two separate times it had to be fixed, right?
Well, the railroad or the MTA are the stupidest people on the face of the earth. We had asked that they provide a pedestrian way to get over for the bicycles and all that. Have you ever tried to ride a bike over there?
Yeah, I know.
I
Right.
couldn't even think
And they said no, that
Well, there's
they
strategy.
only had the money and the law only allowed them to rebuild it exactly as it was. This is what they said. And they're liars, because if you remember, you said they built it twice. Well, they built it. It went like this and that and down. And the car wouldn't go over what they built. And they had to come out and take it out and rebuild it. They did it twice. And that's why it took so many years to get it done. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Not an agency you want to try to deal with. But anyway, I think there's better signage we can put up there and.
Well, I think we should say something like ancient bridge, and then the tonnage
Yeah,
that is available to go over. Otherwise, you just say the tonnage, they say, what the heck, I can go this time.
Well-
And if you think it's some ancient wooden bridge, they might think twice, shoot, I could break this thing. There I am, the culprit.
Well, after we renovated it, the guy that had the accident on it, because we were closed for a good chunk of the summer.
oh, the bridge over the
Memorial
corner.
Day to
Yeah, right.
July 4th. It was right going to the end of July.
I think the pond, the bridge to the pond is a little more difficult. But I think you really need a sign that says truck detour and an arrow.
Oh, that's a
And-
good idea.
Because they
Do
come
that on
up
the bridgehead
and,
side.
yeah, yeah,
Well, how are they gonna get over there? Because they still have to go under the bridge by the railroad.
they make a right turn and go down past me.
Narrow,
Yeah.
and then come out to the
Narrow lanes.
highway.
Yep. They go to the highway to make a left, well, like Grimes, who has his whole facility behind us. All his trucks go down Wainscott Harbor Road and cross the tracks there. And they wind around Merchants Path and then
Yeah.
over to.
Yeah.
And he has some huge stuff, but the out of town guys, the guys with the 4-axle roll-off trucks that run, 60,000 pounds, 30-ton trucks, they go right over the bridge. And they just don't understand that when you're getting up to Narrow Lane East, truck detour, make a right, go down and around. And I think the arrows would be helpful.
And then a very short words would be good too.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's something we can
Not a
solve
big
very
detour.
quickly,
Yeah,
the
no, I
signage,
think
like
so.
stop signs, and would make it
Nothing.
safer, as well as we might have a shot that some of these bridges our 2 bridges live a little longer.
Right. But Narrow Lane East, for some reason, has never been dropped to 25. I know people will not go 25, but the whole point is that
What is it?
it's 30. That the police are not going to ticket unless they changed it, unless you're 50 and over. So that means people go 45 and 30 before they get a ticket. Let's make it like the rest of the village, 25, and then at 40, they can write a ticket.
We need some of the village at 30, though, according to state law.
No, I don't think so.
Brian,
Yeah,
you
it
can
can't,
explain.
it can't be, the universal minimum can't be 25, it has to be 30. If you have a special extraordinary circumstances, you can drop certain streets to 25. But the minimum can't go below 30 by state law.
We have
What
Sag Main
about
Street,
Cemetery Lane?
Sag Main Street.
Yeah, that's
Cemetery Lane is
25.
30, and
So we have to change all the speed limits to 30?
No,
No,
No, all the ones that we have in place right now that we did drop down to 25, they have a beginning and an end.
Right.
You have to have a defined start and finish for your district. So everything that we have put at 25 has that right there.
so we can do Narrow Lane East, all we have to do is say between Sag Road and Wainscott Harbor Road, 25 miles an hour, and then it's legal.
we still have some 30s in there. We did some dead ends at 30 too.
We didn't do them at 30.
Well, no, we left them
New
at
York
30.
State says the minimum amount for a single per village is
Correct.
30.
They're not doing it.
So unless they were changed by the village to 25, which some
They were there.
have, they will be at 30.
correct. The village-wide speed limit is 30 miles an hour, 215, section 215-8. That's consistent with state law. Other speed zones, we can have restricted speed areas that drop them to 25. That's permissible, but it has to be by exception. The village-wide has to be 30. There was a village up island that dropped their entire speed limit to 25, and they got sent to the woodshed by the Attorney General.
Okay, well, we're not gonna drop the whole village. We'll drop the whole village one street at a time.
Yeah.
Whatever works. And at each end of Narrow Lane East, I'd like to see stop signs. Because the same thing happens, people come over the bridge, it's a downhill. They go a tremendous rate of speed. And it would be nice, I mean, it's one way to traffic calm is to put up stop signs and slow them down.
There's no stop sign there now?
Nope,
Not on Sag Road. Not
Oh,
on
on Sag Road.
but on both ends.
Sag.
It's
Oh, you
pretty,
want one on Sag Road?
There's one
yeah,
on,
Sag Road and Town Line,
Wainscott.
Wainscott Harbor Road. You know, I've had other people on the road request it because people either speed through or they don't signal and turn or do signal and don't turn. And it's, if they stop, it's just a lot safer to make a turn out of that road or into
Well, you know, signaling is an option at some time.
it. Right.
It's a total option. I think we're gonna have to probably, at some of these intersections, because people aren't driving respectfully. And I remember when, I think it was David Susskind was the supervisor in Southampton Town, he put them in from Corrigan's coming in, you know, if you came in that way to Bridgehampton, all along the long straight roads. And oddly enough, I don't see that has helped.
What do you put in?
Stop
Stop
signs.
signs,
And
like
it-
Halsey Lane and New Light Lane.
Luna Lane, so people coming in there, then they hit that corner on Paul's Lane and they rev around that corner down Bridge Lane and over the beach, over the bridge, sorry, not beach. So you're right, I think, and we might have to talk to Southampton Town at some point too, leading into the bridge area. There almost needs to be a stop sign halfway down Bridge Lane before you get to the bridge when, oh, what's that?
Highland Terrace.
Highland Terrace comes across.
Yeah.
Because they're whipping through there.
Well, if you consider-
And they
Let's
hit
put
the
some
bridge
cops
and
down
they
there. I
go.
think we're having too many stop signs here.
Only have one
Well,
cop.
We're the last mile, okay?
Let's get
We're
the
living
extra
within the
patrols
last mile of
down.
our homes, and we're talking about putting stop signs within the last mile to our house to calm down the traffic in our neighborhood. And to me, it's like, it's gonna be a pain to everybody trying to get the Montauk through Sagaponic. But for us, it's gonna be an improvement. And I think we just have to bite the bullet and say, put up the stop signs, slow the people a little bit. It's not a total solution, but it's an improvement. And to go along with it, you know, in terms of you're thinking about the last mile, which is us, we're talking about our neighborhood. Something that comes up in that transportation study I had Rhodey hand out is a pace car. And what that means is, and I know a number of people have started doing it, where they drive the speed limit. Because I know all of us had a tendency in the past to run, you know, well, you're not going to get a ticket, I go 35. Drive 25, drive everybody crazy, but get the speed down by your own example. I mean, you know, it's for the last mile to your house. If you can't go slow and stop, don't complain because you're part of the problem, really. You know, I mean, these are things we can do here as a village. And I think it's something that we should do. And some of it we can just do on our own. And some of it we have to do as a community.
I think in Southampton, they also put a lot of stop signs on Wickapog Road, and
Oh,
that
sure.
is such a throughway. Such throughway, there they've got, and is it annoying? Yes, but did it work? Yes, I mean, and I definitely worked.
Sag Harbor just did that on Division Street.
Yes.
Right.
Bill, just, there are a number of people on the Zoom meeting, and I'm getting questions on, can we address the board about parking and
We
stuff
can
like
put
that.
them in now,
So,
sure.
and I'm not interrupting you,
Yep.
I'm just saying that when you're finished with your list, perhaps you'd want to open it up to the Zoom attendees to ask for input.
The only other thing on my list is the bridge will turn 100 next year, and the second weekend, I'll get the date right, I don't have it in my head. In September, I'd like to have some kind of ceremony, large or small, to recognize 100 years. And part of the idea of this is it'll draw attention to this as a place. The bridge that named Bridgehampton, we're linked. The bridge was put there to link us with Mecox, the farmers connecting wagons, all that kind of stuff. That's why it was there.
Well, wait a minute, it's more than 100 years old. Isn't it? It's on a cup.
Can you read the cup?
The bridge was built in
Yeah.
1923? No, I did a thing on it in fifth grade, it's way over.
No, but the cup is saying, Carrie, replacing earlier wooden bridges.
Oh.
And the wooden bridges date back to
It was wooden when you
1686.
were in.
Fifth.
Anyway, and I'll throw it out there that it'll either be small or large, depending. We really need somebody who wants to pick up and run with us, somebody who's got the right kind of attitude. Maybe we won't get that person, but I will offer to do a maximum of 2 weddings on the bridge, joining events, bridge events. I only did one wedding in my last term, but I'll offer to do two if somebody wants to get married on
You
Saturday.
have to be a Sagaponic resident marrying a
No, it
bishop.
could be anything. It could be anybody. And I had crazy thoughts that maybe we have a 1923 swimsuit contest or a 1923
For men only.
dance contest, or, things like that, funny, amusing, maybe you get kids to figure out what a 1923 swimsuit looks like, not much skin showing. Anyway, why don't we go to the people on Zoom
Okay,
or anybody in the room?
okay. Well, you want to start in the room first? It's up to
Sure.
you, Bill.
Are you here to speak?
I'm here to listen.
Oh, okay.
So I can speak. Oh.
Oh, okay. And who are you?
I'm Rebecca Wright. I'm born and raised in Sagaponic. I live on Farm Court in Sagaponic, and I'm here only because I got Rhodey's email from this whole tragedy that's happened pretty much, and it's really a very sad situation. So I read the comments that were attached from that email, and I appreciate all the comments, but I'm not sure I agree with all of the comments and how to solve the problem. I have no idea how to solve this problem. I mean, it's a bad situation, but I mean, traffic in Sagaponic has been around for forever, pretty much. It's getting worse every year. I say that every year, it's getting worse, and it does. And but it's not just Sagaponic, it's Sag Harbor. I don't even go to Sag Harbor anymore in the summertime. I ride my bike. I don't ride it in the summertime. I don't walk in the summertime. I swim in my pool in the backyard. Is that something that everybody can do? No, but I don't feel comfortable on the roads in Sagaponic. Ways to fix it. I don't think bikes belong on roads in Sagaponic from Memorial Day to Labor Day, which is a terrible thing. I mean, I want to ride my bike in the summertime, but cars and bikes don't work, and people are not obeying the stop signs. I sat at the post office 2 days ago. I never observed the traffic patterns lately, but I my husband ran into the post office, and not one person stopped at the stop sign going left onto Daniel's Lane.
No, Hedges.
Hedges Lane, excuse me, right. They slow down and then they speed off. You have a stop sign at the school and you have a stop sign at Hedges. And I can tell you, those people are not going 25 miles an hour through there. They're speeding up. The post office store is an absolute disaster. People are going to get run over at the walkway going through. Myself almost included, but run over the other day. A month ago, I was coming back from the beach. I was stopped at that same stoplight at Hedges. I had a school bus behind me. I stopped at that light and the school bus tooted at me.
Oh, God.
And I had my mini roof and I was like, really? Come on. So I just think we need to educate people. We need to take this slow. I don't think I get it. I think the stop signs do work, but they work for the people that obey the rules. They don't work for the people that are here that don't really give a crap. And I think they're daydreaming, they've got COVID-itis, they've in a rush, they're late, whatever it is. I'm not sure. I think they slow the traffic down, but I don't think that's where we should go first. I think we need to educate our people. And I just did a little research this morning, and I Facebooked Sagaponic. I put Sagaponic on my Facebook. The first thing comes up is the Sagaponic Distillery. The second thing that comes up is the Historic District. You have to Google the village of Sagaponic in order to find what the village is proposing and all the whatever. I liked it today, by the way. I didn't even know you had a website. But I think we really cannot solve this problem in 6 weeks. I think it's a summer problem, but it's not really just a summer problem. We can get run over on the roads at any time. Sidewalks are great, but we can't put a sidewalk in all of Sagaponic. It's impossible. Can we, not have bikes in the summertime? It's a two-way street. This poor guy that ran this child over, he didn't do that. It was an accident. Accidents happen. We can't prevent accidents. We can try our best, but the sidewalk wouldn't help the problem. However it happened, I have no idea how this happened, but will it happen again? I don't know. I mean, I watched someone on a bicycle last summer get hit in front of Aunt Mary's driveway. And I got the guy's license plate. I drove all over Sagaponic to try to find a police officer. Finally, the guy got up and he was okay, but he didn't have a helmet on. And I found an officer down at the beach, sitting there in his car, not doing anything. Maybe he had a call earlier and he was sitting down there, but I said to him, so somebody just got run over at Saks store. Well, here's his license plate. Oh, we can't do anything about it. We can't follow through with any, I had to see it. We had to see it. We had to have it, someone there. I was like, okay, the guy wasn't injured, but this is going to happen more often than not. And, some of the thoughts that I had were like, all right, the Saks store is a big problem. And I know what I've read, I've only read, but they're planning on turning the store around and pushing it back a tad bit.
No, they're not turning it around.
Now turning around, are they moving it back?
They
Okay, they're
want,
moving it back.
yeah.
Maybe this is a good opportunity to, I've been traveling all winter long. I've been to places where they have bike trails. There's no bikes on the road. There are bikes in the woods. There are bike trails all over the place. Kiowa Island, I just came back from Canada. There's 20-mile bike loops for people to run on. That's an expensive way to go, and nobody wants a bike lane in their area and not in my backyard. But the thing with the Saks store, I was thinking, is maybe to slow the traffic down. If we could get that store to move back, when it moves back, widen the road in there and put some kind of, not a stop sign, but like flower pots or something. You're in a village.
That's good.
We need to beautify this
Yeah.
place. We don't need to keep these signs going up and down. The signs on Farmview Drive, no parking signs. They are useless. The cars and the trucks all park on the side of the street, both sides of the street. I got out of my car, I was pleasant. I said, guys, but they can't see the stop signs. They're under trees and the trees have come down and the maintenance on these roads are not good. So I just don't want to see more signs. We have a beautiful village. The whole area has changed and we have to come up with innovative ideas to keep it beautiful.
That's your assignment. Come up with innovative ideas.
No, but seriously, we have the Beta Beach path. We all know about the Beta Beach path?
Yes, I walk the
Yeah.
trail.
Yes.
Mhm.
Maybe we could look into getting that paved for people to ride their bikes on. And you're gonna have these speed demons. First of all, it's not just the cars that need to be educated. It needs to be the bikers and the walkers. They're not biking on the right side of the road. They're not walking on the right side of the road. So I think the easiest way and the quickest way to do this is by social media. It's free.
There we go.
Facebook, Twitter, whatever the heck there is, Instagram. And we need to educate our locals and get them on Facebook and maybe just put a sign slow on the road, like have the slow. Instead of putting up more
I
stop
don't mean to
signs.
cut you off, but we got a bunch of other people.
Okay. got
No,
it.
but that's really good,
Yeah.
but we're all volunteers, so you're just
Yeah, no,
volunteering
I'm
to
just a
work on
volunteer.
it.
I'm just a resident.
No, you're a volunteer.
I
now.
usually don't get this fired
stood
up,
up and
but
said something.
it's just, we gotta do something.
Yeah.
But I don't think
No,
the signs are gonna be really the problem. I think they help, but I obey the signs,
Maybe take a look, there's all kinds of studies out there about this stuff. We don't have to pay for another study.
Yeah.
We simply have to decide to try some things, do some things.
Yes, right.
And I think it's a multimedia approach. I mean,
Right.
if you figure out, I'm not a Facebook guy.
I'm not either.
an
I'm-
Instagram, I'm not anything.
I don't know.
You know,
I just,
can
but you
weld
need to
and
hire
make
them,
things
get
that
more
happen.
cops in here, but the signs, people are blown through the signs, they don't care.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Okay. No, I really appreciate you coming.
Hi.
in.
This is
On that school bus, set your parking brake, gotten out and went over and yelled at him.
Well, you know what? I was afraid of getting shot at. That's why I didn't do that, because you can't do that today.
Yeah,
I just put my hands up.
Right.
Today coming from Bridgehampton, I stopped at the school. I sat there too long and they tooted me. And
yeah.
guess what? I don't do 25 on Main Street. I will tell you right now, I'll do 30 or 35, but
You
I
better
won't
slow
go.
down. We're gonna get you.
I know.
Okay. Who's next?
As a volunteer,
Excuse me, hold on. So, I have Lisa Bennett has her little hand up here. Okay, so that's her up in the corner.
Hi there. We have 2 points. We live in the old house right on.
Lisa, hold on one second. Just identify yourself and where you live.
I was in the middle of doing that while you told me to hold myself. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
My name is Lisa Bennett. I live on, my husband and I own the house on the corner of Town Line and Hedges, the old house surrounded by a white picket fence,
What's the address?
700 Hedges Lane.
Thank you.
We appreciate the widening of the road there, but one thing I would ask you all to do is get in your car and drive down Hedges and stop at the stop line that you have painted on the road. And you will see it's probably 30 feet back from where it should be. You have to, if I had a policeman behind me, I would stop. But if I was being careful, I would go another 10, 15 feet to look left and right down Town Line Road to see if somebody was coming. And so just reevaluate where you put the stop line and the stop sign. Also, I would say I was a little disappointed to see with all the road work and the taking of the topsoil right there on Town Line, just as you take that right on the stop sign I just described. There's multiple holes and, ditches. You could have taken some of that topsoil and dumped it on there and it would have been a huge improvement. You can't even walk on that side of Town Line Road for that, a good distance there. So that in itself is that both those things are simple fixes. Here's my husband, Phil Bennett. He also has one other point.
Okay, Lisa and I have lived in the UK for 30 years on and off. And what I don't understand about New York is why we don't use speed cameras here. They're used everywhere in the UK. So instead of adding stop signs where you don't need them, why don't you have a sign on my front lawn that says speed cameras in use and put a speed camera down the middle of Hedges Lane? They're used in every English village. I've just looked it up. New York is one of 16 states where speed cameras are allowed. So why can't we do a speed camera on Daniels, on Parsonage, on Hedges, right in the middle, and anybody going over 25 gets a ticket and a point?
So I like that idea. I think we all like that idea. In New York State, it's restricted by the New York State Legislature by special legislation. So the only jurisdiction in Suffolk County that's authorized by the New York State Legislature to use speed cameras under the state vehicle and traffic law is Suffolk County. No other municipality is authorized to do it. So I think that on a request like that, you should probably make it to Assemblyman Thiel to see what advances he could make in Albany with that.
But would Sagaponic want to do that if they could? Why can't you apply as a community in Suffolk County?
It's also expensive, isn't that right?
Yeah, I've got no problem with it. I met with the highway superintendent. Southampton Town has a new highway superintendent, and they provide road service to us, not paving, but they do maintenance work. And he suggested the same thing. He liked the idea of speed cameras, but I'm not familiar with it. And apparently, everything that a village does is done under the authority of the state. There are only certain things that we are allowed to do. And until the state says we're allowed to do it, we can petition them. But we'll consider, okay, I was elected with 46 votes. Okay, I got every vote that was cast. I got 46 votes. There are almost 500 registered voters in this town. So when I go to speak somewhere and say, I've got my village behind me, all I carry is 46 votes. The rest of the people don't give a damn and don't vote. And it's really something to be considered, that You know, how much weight do I have with the supervisor of Southampton Town or East Hampton Town when they realize that the people in Sagaponic don't vote? And I just want to point out that there's hindrances to everything and where power comes from and how you execute it, how you use it.
Yeah,
I'm in favor of that.
all important points. I just wonder whether we could get it on a ballot so you can say that the town does support you or whatever, but it's so much better than having frivolous stop signs that don't really need to be there, or what we call in the UK, sleeping policemen, road bumps. You know, it's a simpler way of solving what you're trying to do. So I would have tried to push it. But in the meantime, do you have any objection to me putting a sign that says speed camera in use on my lawn?
So, you know, but do look at that stop sign. That was incorrectly done when you repaved the road. You know, somebody is perfectly legally stopping and then leaping forward without having visibility up and down Town Line Road. And they.
Can be fixed.
The house on the south corner opposite you has illegally encroached on the village right of way. And it's something I pointed out a year ago, and hopefully my administration will get that rectified. I worked on the Strong property for the Strongs, and I know exactly where the property line is. And those people took the plantings that were put behind
They're
it.
on hedges. They're not on.
They're on hedges. You're talking about the,
I don't know. who
Oh,
this is.
you're on the hedges. Oh, I thought you were the hedges on Parsonage.
no, right there, the old house,
And ours was a strong house as well.
right?
Oh, everything was.
Yeah, there's no house across the street anywhere from us, but yeah,
Okay,
go to
I
that stop sign.
misdiagnosed, sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you anyway. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next one is Derek Solder. Derek?
Hi, I'm in a bit of a noisy place, so I hope you can hear me, but I've heard all the ideas and they all seem good. I would, first of all, I live at, or my
Derek,
family owns a house.
Derek, could you put
Yeah.
your video on so the board can see you?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
So my family has the house at 791 Daniels Lane. So we're quite close to Town Line Road and to the beach and to where the poor kid was killed recently. So I mailed in 4 simple suggestions, some of which I think could be done quite quickly, and many of which were discussed here. But just to recap it, first of all, some of the encroachment on Town Line is blatant. The big boulders along the street, the big spikes along the street, and I've seen these poor kids try to dodge a truck and then go face first over a rock, 6 inches from the road. I hope the owners after this tragedy along there would just realize that, I don't know what the liability is. I don't know what there probably is liability, but just the moral guilt of contributing to this, especially at the spot where the poor kid was actually killed. I saw my daughter and friends of some people in this room, almost had the exact same problem with it. I think the exact same truck backing out of the exact same driveway through no fault of the driver, just because close pushes to the road, no place to veer off the road, etc. So I hope that all those things, clearing some of those verges, repaving the road and hopefully putting the same shoulders that are now elsewhere, repairing that crazy stop sign on the corner of Daniels and Town Line, and possibly amending the parking for some of the locals. I hope that could all be done. The only other comment I would have is that a lot of these good ideas that were suggested, a lot of the real problem comes from Waze and Google Maps directing people to detour, particularly down Hedges Lane. Now, the way you solve that is you actually create an impediment that no longer makes the computer think this is a viable shortcut. And just keep that in mind. A lot of the reasons people are there is because they don't know any better. They're just being sent there by a computer. And that computer can be fooled. There's several ways to do it and several times to do it. Now, some of it is,
Is that legal to change that computer ability of, I'm just asking, or you're just saying there's a way of doing it?
Well, there's the one way is you can appeal to Google. There are 2 ways. Number one, you can talk to Google, but number 2, to talk about stop signs. I agree that some stop signs are useless, but if you put the stop signs there, they appear on Waze. And Waze tends to then not route you down streets with a lot of stop signs because the assumed rate of traffic is much lower. So for example, if you go on Waze right now, it will no longer take you many of the back roads down toward, down west when you're leaving town, because there are now so many stop signs along places like Weekapaug and also the streets in the back through Bridgehampton that the computer no longer thinks it's fast enough. So it just tells you to stay on 27. There are people who understand that better than me, but I do think that a lot of even the useless stop signs, or the stop signs that people think might be a little bit excessive, they will help to trick the computer, and that will at least keep the real summer cut through idiots from trying to use it as a cut through. And that ultimately would be a good outcome. So I tend to be in favor of more stop signs than less, but the absolute most urgent need is what went on Town Line. And my only contribution to this, and I did send it, and some of the roadie and others saw it, I did send it to East Hampton, is I called actually right before that kid was killed and complained about a problem that was right near that street. Now, I don't want to get into what would make East Hampton respond, etc. But boy, I mean, if they were a company and got a call saying that there's a real problem here and did nothing about it, and then a couple of weeks later, someone was killed there, I don't know what their liability is. I don't know how they're going to answer the poor parents when the parents start snooping around to see what actually went on, because I heard, I might be wrong, but I heard they're renters and they're not necessarily local. But this is sort of a known issue, especially for the East Hampton side of the road. And I specifically called East Hampton because they've obviously done far less at addressing the problem, as I think the good people here have certainly tried. So you have that email I sent, you have the comments, the suggestions I made to all the various supervisors. Please feel free to pass it out. But I think it's gotten to the point where I would not be surprised if another kid gets hit by a bike any day now. Another kid on a bike gets hit any day.
Thank you, that's helpful. Very
Okay,
helpful.
very helpful. Next is Jim Prusky. Jim?
Hello, everybody. James Prusky. I'm the owner of 678 Daniels, which is soon to be completed. Thank you to Rhodey for inviting me to this, and thank you to the mayor and your full team for convening this and allowing people to talk here about how to work together. I do want to just let you know simply that I am volunteering and putting my hand up to help in any way I can. Sadly, I have a lot of experience with this exact situation in that in my family in 2015, we experienced the tragic loss of my mother-in-law, who for many years owned the home at 36 Herb Court, Pat Goldstein, who was killed by a motorist in Highland Beach, Florida. I was the member of the family who worked closely with Palm Beach County with all of the traffic, discussing all of these very issues that I'm hearing right now on the phone. And obviously, I'm not going to jump in to talk about all of that right now, but I am raising a strong hand to let you know that I would like to engage however I can with the experience that I have in talking about the traffic studies, the things that are outliers versus the things that are pattern versus the potential solutions. And in whatever forum you want to continue this. And I simply wanted to say that, and I'll leave it at that. But my heart hurts in pain for the family and for all in the community, because it's obviously a community issue. And the outcome for my family has been that my 14-year-old does not even ride a bicycle today, and we've not encouraged him to do that because of the trauma that we went through in this experience. Anyway, I'll stop, but I commend the mayor and your team, and want to jump in to help however and wherever you think is useful for helping make things in the village better this way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Leslie Keaton.
Hi.
Leslie, could you put your video on, please?
There I am. I did it. Hi. So I live at 221 Hedges. I've lived there. I've literally grown up in Sagaponack. Both my parents have passed away, and my sister and I now have this house. And the one thing I could say is, in the 40 plus years I've been out there, I've never seen traffic like this. And thank you for repaving hedges. My car appreciates it. However, now my sister is petrified to run, and she used to run every morning. And because people are just tearing, 80 miles an hour is not okay. Part of me wants to pick up a rock and throw it at a car, which I know at the end, it's me who will get sued. But in the short term, like, I know we have a problem. I have friends who live on Daniels. I have friends who live on Parsonage. And I think Parsonage was the first street to be paved. And they said it became just a speedway. I don't know. And it is definitely increased during the summer, right? You have all the renters, you have everybody. It's not us, the people who live here, who love our property, who love the area. Is there a short-term solution for now of maybe, I don't know, Mr. C48 who just hangs out, and let there be some more police presence during, morning hours when people are either going to a gym or, I'm seeing more traffic between like 8 and 11, and then in the afternoon when people are either going to like from 4 to 7. So when they're either going to a happy hour or a dinner or a party, that's when the traffic really starts to increase on Hedges.
They're going home from work. They're going home from work.
Whether that or a Saturday or a Sunday. I mean, it's at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning is a shit show. Sorry, pardon my language. But you just can't even walk. I mean, I almost got killed walking my 10-pound Havanese. He literally on a leash, and a car went just whipping by. So much for that walk. So I think we know we have a problem. The roads are beautiful. We appreciate everything that you guys are doing to help maintain the area. However, maybe police, I don't know. Cameras, no one's gonna slow down for a camera. These guys will get a ticket the same way in New York, in Manhattan, you make the left when you're not supposed to and you deal with the ticket later. I don't think that is the solution to deter people. I think literally a cop, I don't even care if it's a fake cop right now, or like just the police car. People slow down when they see police cars. I don't know. And I can look into the Google Waze situation. I do have some friends who work there, so I'm happy if just putting up stop signs all over the place helps not take you that way. But honestly, I will get back to everybody on that. I'm going to do some due diligence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Mary Lee Foster. I'm sorry, no, Mary Foster Sherman. Merrill? You're muted and you don't have your video on, Merrill. Okay, here's your video. There you are. And unmute yourself. You're still muted.
Can't hear you.
I don't think I can unmute you. I can mute you, but I don't think I can unmute you. Ask to unmute.
She's on an iPhone. Meryl, can you hear me? If you look in the lower corner of your iPhone and touch the screen, you should be able to unmute yourself. It's on the lower left-hand corner.
She's done talking.
She probably has no service, walking around to try to find service.
No, she's probably going to a laptop.
Yeah.
Or her son to help her.
There you go.
It's the lower left-hand corner on an iPhone, the mute button, just unmute it.
Next.
You hear that? When you- Yeah. While you're trying to figure that out, Meryl, is there anyone else that would like to speak? No one else has their hand up, but if, John Crane, Ms. Crane? He has to unmute. Yeah, he got it. You're,
Okay, can you hear me?
yeah.
Sure.
I'm John Crane. I own 144 Town Line Road between Daniels Lane and the ocean. And I'm wondering if anything is being done to address not general traffic issues with the volumes and the speeds, but the particular circumstances of last week's tragic accident in terms of changing, perhaps, or considering changing some of the rules around construction sites. Things like additional mirrors, for having a backup reverse warning beepers on all vehicles entering and leaving construction sites. And I listed a couple of ideas in a note I sent that I don't know if you've all seen, but I know that Rhodey saw a copy. But they have more to do with concrete steps that might be able to be implemented to reduce the danger and the safety issues associated with construction sites, which I believe was the location of last week's accident. All I've heard today are general traffic speeding and traffic volume issues. And of course, the ongoing safety issues of getting down Town Line Road on our side of the street in the summer. But can we do anything with the rules on construction sites?
I really don't know.
So, I mean, to a certain extent, Mr. Crane, I did review your email. For construction site safety, we could take a look at. Some of these, which I love, the vehicle equipment safety questions. Those are definitely, again, state vehicle and traffic law sections.
Okay.
And so there's a concept called preemption, where a state acts so largely in the field, the court says that local governments, small governments, county, town, villages are precluded from taking any action. One of those is vehicle safety equipment. They want that on the state level, not on the village level.
Okay.
I think that all of those points are very, and the mayor and the board certainly does think they're very valid and strong points. But they would be, again, well addressed to someone in Fred Field, who might be able to do that in something in the state vehicle and traffic law.
Would the state vehicle traffic laws and preemption also cover some of the ideas such as additional signage, convex mirrors at entrances?
Yeah, those are ones we can definitely look at, the physical
Okay.
site itself, the project site, as we can
Okay.
have control on. Certainly something we'll talk about with the building inspector with regard to implementing those as part of building permits. I think those
Okay.
are all great. Those are, as you said, those are concrete solutions that are certainly worth a close evaluation.
Okay. And there's really nothing I can add to sort of our collective village dismay at the traffic issues on all of the side streets. I've forgotten who it was who mentioned the merits of driving at the speed limit. And frankly, I take great delight in going 25 miles an hour while the traffic backs up behind me and the occasional jerk wants to pass me. And every once in a while, I'll see a village cop quarter mile down the road pulling them over. So I think all of us coming to full stops and going the speed limit will go a long way toward keeping the speeders where they belong, behind us.
Thank you. That's community working together.
Yeah. Okay, Meryl, I see that you're back on and unmuted.
I think so. Sorry for my lack of technical skills. I just wanted to add that as much as we want Sagaponic to,
Meryl, just
Yeah.
state your street address.
oh, sorry, Merrill Foster Sherman. I live at 707 Daniels Lane. As much as we want Sagaponic to remain, I've been here for almost 25 years, and as much as we want it to remain quaint and feel like the little village we've always known, I realize many of you have been here longer than me. But I think we have to address the fact that we're inundated with, and not just in the summer, we're inundated because of an increase in residences. We're inundated with a lot more traffic. And as much as we'd like to educate people about the correct ways to what side of the road they should walk on and bicycle on and so on, I don't think those are the people that we will necessarily have access to and be able to change things, certainly not in the short term. I'm not adverse to having an extra stop sign or I'd rather have too many stop signs as opposed to too few stop signs. I think they definitely help for the people that don't live in Sagaponic but are coming through either Hedges or Daniels just to avoid 27. Anything we can do to get the Google Maps and ways to not have these roads as an alternative to 27 would be a huge advantage. I'm not that tech savvy, so I can't volunteer for that. I'll volunteer for anything else. I'm not sure that the speed bumps and all help other than annoy everyone enormously and do damage to your car. And it's difficult for bikers. And I live with a family of avid bikers. I just think we need to, perhaps at least in the summer, if we can, have a greater police presence. If we become known as an area that will ticket you if you speed, that might be helpful. In addition to that, I really think we have to make a concerted effort to make visibility, improve visibility. There are several corners, particularly the corner, it's the southeast corner on Main and Town Line, where you have to practically jut out onto Town Line to be able to see what's coming at you from the south, from the beach. It's like that coming down Fairfield Pond when it gets to Daniels, that intersection. The house that's on the northwest corner has bushes, large bushes that make it difficult to see. Down to the right, down Daniels. I think any way that we can, I don't know the legalities of this, to force residents to trim back, even if the village does it itself, as long as it's legal, to prune back those shrubberies, trees, bushes, because they make it difficult to see. Anything that interferes with visibility is a problem. I'm looking at all of your faces and I've recently taken the AARP driver's ed course because it reduces your insurance costs. But in the course of doing that, it goes through a substantial amount of time talking about better road conditions. And Rhodey has heard this from me before. I doubt that anyone else has. But say the intersection of Hedges and Sag Main, the intersection of Fairfield Pond Road and Hedges, we have these Ys, and they really don't improve visibility looking all the way down. And you can, particularly on Hedges, because it's shaded, and in the summer you have this dappled kind of lighting through the shade of the trees, the leaves of the trees. And you can often miss a biker or someone walking or running down that road. And all of these little things that will add to an improvement of visibility, I truly believe will be an advantage, even if it's a small step. it's still an advantage. And anything we can do to slow people down will certainly improve the situation. That's all I have to say. And I'm
Great.
happy to help if you need a volunteer for anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, David McMillan.
Yes, thank you very much. I've sat here and listened through this.
David, just give us your street address, please.
Sure, I live at 615 Hedges Lane. Have been a resident here for over 35 years. 2 points. One, first, an observation. Historically, there's always been some animosity between East Hampton and whether it's East Hampton or the village of Sagaponack on working together on Town Line Road. I know quite a few people who live in Wayne-Scott. I know they had to deal with potentially voting to go to the village route as Sagaponack did. I know there's a lot of animosity between Wayne-Scott and some of the council members in East Hampton. And I really kind of am concerned that we don't have a good working relationship with them right now. Town Line has been an issue since I've been a resident here. It seemed to be a little bit more viable, the communication decades ago, but there is certainly an issue. They actually have even told me, I heard this just recently since I go to the beach every morning, that they think this issue with this horrific issue is a Sagaponack issue since it happened in Sagaponack. It's hard for me to believe. It's all our issues. So I'm wondering, I know you said you had a meeting coming up next week with them. I think it's going to be terribly important to start a communication and to start some cooperation in fixing some of the issues on Town Line. That's the first point. The second point is Hedges Lane the road is spectacular, but it is a raceway. There's going to be an accident that's going to happen here. It's just, I've gotten passed on the road coming from Sag, Maine, people going 50 to 80 miles an hour. It is not safe walking on that road. No one is following the speed limit, whether it's the locals or the commercial vehicles. They're using Hedges Lane as a gateway into East Hampton to avoid the Montauk Highway. I realize that there's more people in the town and we have to accept more vehicles and more traffic, but this is a problem and I'm not sure of the solution. To be honest with you, speed bumps, whether it's cameras, I'm not sure what the solution is, but we need more police surveillance of the road. It's just impossible to walk on the road. I won't let my kids or my grandchildren even go on the road. My wife's on the phone here and she takes our grandchildren out in the stroller. It's impossible. It is so dangerous. And I'm not sure what the answer is there. And quite honestly, I commend anybody who has to deal with it, especially the volunteer committee. I've been on a few boards myself, and it's a thankless job, but this is definitely not the end of something to happen here because of the speeding. It is out of control. And most of it, the reason is because you've improved the road. It's tremendous, but it is in a dangerous situation. No one's stopping the other way when there's traffic when there's pedestrians on the road. It's something bad is going to happen. I'm telling you now. I've seen this before, and I'm not sure what the solution is, but I throw my hat in the ring to see if I could help in any way. I certainly know a lot of people on the other side of the coin on East Hampton and in the village of Wayne-Scott that I might be able to help, and we need to broker some sort of relationship with them because Town Line's an issue and always has been an issue. And we need to get that fixed. And I throw my hat in as well as some of the other people have been on the call here. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you, David. I'm going to jump into the fire right here. Everything we've been talking about have been half measures, okay? Stop signs, there's all these different things that you can do traffic calming with. I'm going to say it, I think we have 3 roads in Sagaponack. If we turn them all into cul-de-sacs we would eliminate the problem. If we broke, there's a number of places where there are fields on both sides of the road, Parsonage Lane, Hedges Lane, and Daniels Lane. And at those points, you make it a dead end road and literally provide a passage for ambulance, fire, that type of thing. And end the road, and the traffic will end, and we'll have peaceful streets. And I'd be willing to do it, but I don't know one else. I don't know who else would follow me over the cliff. But there is a solution, there is a solution. And I know traffic signs will help, and various other implements, things you throw in the road to narrow it or turn the road. There's all kinds of solutions which the trustees are looking at now. But there is an ultimate solution too, and that would be, and we have the power to do it, to dead end the roads and stop the through traffic. Anyway, there you go. If you want to put your parachute on and go with me, we'll go jump somewhere.
I'm with you. I'm ready to go.
I'm with you too. And sorry, if I could just ask one final brief question is, after this session, sorry, this is,
John, is that you talking?
sorry, this is Jim Prusky, just with a quick follow-up based on, based on based on what we've heard is, will the committee create, I mean, when some of us have said we'll some of us with experience in this to jump in to help here, is there a process to get us involved? Do you want us to form a group by our own to come up with recommendations, ideas? What is the process by which you want to get some of the other lay members or residents involved to help you?
Jim, that's a good question, and I don't know if the board has that answer for you right now. But I have all the names of everybody here today, and if that's, and the board will discuss, the next steps. Yeah.
Perfect.
Is there anybody else that wants to speak that's on the Zoom that hasn't spoken yet?
The lady in the right-hand corner?
No, that's Meryl, she's already spoken.
Oh, she's
No,
already
no, the
spoken.
right-hand corner, bottom
no.
right.
You can't see who it is. She's cut off.
She doesn't want to speak, because she hasn't raised her hand.
Okay.
Okay, Bill.
You want to go back to Merrill? I think she wants to.
I don't, Meryl, do you want to speak again? The last time I took somebody's hand down, I wiped them off the Zoom, so I didn't take the hand down. Did you
No,
want to
no, I
speak?
wasn't.
You're good?
Thank
Okay.
Thank you, though, for responding, but no, I wasn't asking to speak, but given the opportunity, I don't have a problem with having those devices that tell you your speed as you're flying down the street. I don't know that it necessarily slows people down, but if there's a way, I think cameras would be fantastic. The technology that I know I've read that it is actually there, that they can make note of the license and you can ticket the car, which is fantastic. I don't think you can put points on anyone's driver's license because you don't know who the driver is. But any way that we can slow traffic down would be advantageous. Thank you. And thanks for all of your hard work and for responding so quickly, because this is really quite important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lisa, did you want to speak again?
Yeah, just briefly. I think the tragedy for this small child is, it's so tragic that, I have difficulty even thinking about being in Sagaponack. So I think you have to be very ahead of the curve on how you talk about it and how you address it. And I think that, one thing that really hasn't been mentioned is just the reality of life there in the summer is that there are a lot more young people on the roads. There are a lot more people walking. And maybe you have summer rules for construction. In the city, they don't allow construction during certain times. I think that'd be a little drastic in Sagaponack, but just recognize that it's a very different place in the middle of the summer. And, make adjustments accordingly. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
A quick thing, I think maybe we can get the building inspector, as he goes out and does his inspections, draw attention to what has happened at another construction site. And that's a pretty easy thing to do, which can be implemented immediately. If he can go to a site and tell the project manager, this happened in our neighborhood, and if, you need to instruct everybody on the site to be much more careful on how they drive. That's a pretty easy thing to get out there right now, and I think we'll be doing that.
Even as a memo from the building inspector to active job sites.
Yeah, when he goes to a job site.
Like a safety bulletin.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Put them on notice. But thank you.
Okay, is that it for anybody that wants to speak on Zoom? Okay, Bill.
Financials, it's all out there. Read it, and
Next week.
next week we'll deal with that.
Down to board.
Okay, yeah, board reports. I guess, Lisa, you're up first.
Right, there was no zoning department meeting last, I think it should have been last Friday.
Yes.
But more to follow. Yeah, that's what I figured from what I was talking to John. So the Architecture and Historic Review Board had a variety of things going, but what was interesting to me was the historic site that I spoke about last month, 397 Sag Main Street, which is opposite of Robbie Thayer's house on the corner that used to be Townie Brown's house back in the day. That went from a discussion item to an actual item, and it really helped, I feel, last month to do the discussion. And sometimes I know that's a difficult thing sometimes to discuss it before you even get the application, but we did that with SAG Store also, and I think hopefully in the end will made the application much more efficient. The historic part that we didn't know about, the rectory in the parish house on Bridgehampton Main Street for the Episcopal Church came from this property and was dragged over there.
Wow.
So Tom White got the verification of that the garage / guest house didn't have any of that past history. So that was interesting to learn about. There was some discussion on the size and length of the proposed garage / back section. And the applicant was asked to look into, because the site is so historic looking, put the garages underground, hence you wouldn't have so many garage doors being viewed from Parsonage Lane. Because many times today, in the old days, a 2-car garage was, useful, and that was great. But many times in a bigger garage situation, you get visually more doors showing, and in this case, it doesn't go with the house. So they're coming back next month. That will be worked on. 778 Sag Main Street keeps repopping back. They have another amendment that's I'm sorry I do this all the time, but it helps us know what we're talking about. Dr. Stock's old property by the cemetery. And they put in a couple requests for very small things as they have started to work on the project, and though they actually haven't started to work, they started to realize sizes of windows that needed changing, etc. So they don't have the window colors yet, so they're gonna go to the committee of two next week. But that is looking to be a very active site because the demolition is all framed in right now to go on Dr. Stock's old house.
Is the house coming down?
Yes, but it's being rebuilt in kind, except for an addition that was added on later. So initially, that's all gonna happen very close to the road. Being that it is being replaced in kind. So that hopefully next month will be solved with the committee on two, and we'll actually start to see it going forward. The modern house on 40 Farmview Drive, they were approved, but the applicant did some, I kind of got a little confused here, decreased some windows and increased some windows and added fixed louvres, which is a technique that we're starting to see more and more of, where you put the louvres on the outside over the big modern windows and you don't get as much light. So I'm happy to see that's, this was approved, that that's being used, because that will help with the crazy light emission stuff. Another historical building, and I'm not going to give you the little stuff. I'm just going to give you what I think is important, because it was a 3-page long meeting. Another historical site that was put on discussion was 518 Bridge Lane. If you ran around the corner from Sag Main, it's the little white Victorian historic summer house. And they had a very interesting proposal. They want to slide the house slightly forward, but remove the unhistoric, and it's not even a porch, it's a deck stuck on the front of the house now to the left side of it if you're facing it. And by doing that, it will give them a tiny bit in the back, because if you've been on the property, the house is almost on the property line in the back. And they also have an exposed above ground cesspool in the back. So if they don't do a little, and it's probably, I would assume, almost a negative flock coverage or something. Well, it has cement cap cesspool. It was never buried because it was a summer house. In other words, it was only used for 10 weeks.
So it's not really exposed.
Well, it is. Technically, you have the cement cap and the cesspools there, and it's, you know, it is exposed indirectly. So they're going to go forward with this negative building envelope by getting variances. So this will move forward to the zoning committee. And I'm assuming work simultaneously on architecture. So that's the highlights. 3 pages, so I don't take the whole lead.
Karen, did you want to add
I'm
anything?
done, thank you.
Okay. William Barber.
I have 2 things for the highway department. There's a drain across the street from Lone Bears on Daniels Lane.
I cannot believe that hasn't been fixed.
It
The
hasn't
kid
been
could
fixed
die
yet.
going with that thing.
Yeah,
Hasn't been fixed.
that needs attention. Highway department's got to put it back. It really needs to be stabilized somehow. I think this time.
All the time.
Yeah, the guy that was cutting the first time, a couple weeks ago, cutting the side road, he hit it. It was,
Highway department?
the highway department hit it the first time.
And it slides
And
off.
then
and
they
then
pulled
there's
them and they
this
slid it
bubble.
out. This time it wasn't them, somehow, something else hit it, I don't know, it was a car rolled off the road or what. But the point is, the guy that was cutting the grass this time, cut right around it. Didn't try to move it, didn't call anybody, say, hey, we got an open drain here. Didn't even move my cone off the,
So the good news is the highway department's mowing the verge. The
yeah.
bad news is.
How could they leave a
They're going
drain?
on their own grid.
The drain's open?
It's
Yes,
open.
the
It's-
drain is
It's a manhole cover
totally
that's been shut
Manhole
aside.
open.
And it's open with the water.
And Bill brought it up at the last
Yeah.
month. too.
Yeah. So we gotta call somebody on that. The second thing is the, at the very end of Gibson Lane, on the right side, the no parking zone. no parking tollway zone. That, somebody backed into that and busted it right off at the base. It was an old stake, I guess. So they need to bring a new sign and stake down there when they can.
It's lying there on the edge of the road.
Yeah, yeah. It was in the
And that's
bushes.
the no parking sign, Bill? you said?
It's a no parking
Tow zone.
tollway zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
As far as that, that's about all I have for the highway department. I will just interject with what we've all been discussing. The stop signs, I think, are a great idea if we can coordinate with East Hampton and have them cooperate. And I agree, if not, we'll do it ourselves. The only drawback I see is not a drawback, but we have to get the police to pay more attention to the back roads. I know they're only one guy, and it's, you know, they're busy, I'm sure, but
Are they actually ticketing?
we really need,
Well, I don't know if they're ticketing them or not.
there was a car pulled over right across the street from my house last night, right around 5 o'clock. The officer pulled him over. And he sat there and apparently either he was a slow rider or he wrote him up more than one ticket. But they were there for probably 10, 15 minutes.
That's a normal amount of time. That's fast, to be honest with you, yeah.
And I have never seen the traffic going by so nice and slow. Past my house.
It does work.
Workers with their mower trucks and trailers and stuff slowed right down. They were stopping and waving the oncoming traffic, come on, come on. And it just goes to show you, if we have more police presence, and I'm not criticizing what we have, but if we could just get it enforced a little heavier, we can, especially if we put these stop signs up. And the lady that addressed the Hedges and Town Line Road, she's absolutely right. There's a big divot on the right, on the south side of the road. And the stop sign is the stoplight, with their fence the way it is and brush on the other side, you do have to creep out to get
I mean,
a.
that was put in.
Yeah.
What I
But I mean-
assumed that the engineers would have placed it in the right spot.
I know.
Yeah.
But I will contact
Just-
them.
we'll
and-
check
Bridge
it.
Lane is also really far back. It's like.
Yeah, Bridge Lane is
So
the same
far
thing.
back.
We
Okay,
actually
stop,
have
and then
them,
stop again.
we had them move that line at Bridge Lane.
Yeah,
Well, the line is moved, but the sign isn't moved.
So
The line is out
here.
in the road, but the sign's way back, so you
Okay.
debate on where you should be.
Okay, well, it's two different animals.
so the highway department can relocate
The
that.
sign.
Got it.
Well,
So that's all
part
I
of
have.
the problem of the sign is the Matheson driveway always came in on that corner. And I bet the highway department's looking at this old overgrown driveway thinking, oh, we shouldn't bring it up there, but it's not not an active
Yeah,
place.
it's not,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, it's overgrown. I don't
Okay.
even know if the buildings are standing up anymore in there.
Carolyn.
Yeah, I would wonder. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's all for me.
Well, what I wanted to, Lisa mentioned the other day, I didn't know the dirt on those puddles on Bridge Lane, but I remember when we did the paving of Hedges, everybody was driving, you know, over the grass areas. I don't know if any put grassy, but if they do, it'd be great, just those tiny little flags, because they're full of tire tracks.
They drive all over them.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. It's like full time. It's like, what do these people do? But if we could just put little flags and the grassy, it'd be really nice if there was actually grass there.
It is amazing, all the tire tracks in it.
Can't drive.
Yeah, oh, wow.
It is literally in the pedestrian
Right.
lane, the dirt they threw down.
Do you think it's because they threw it down or somebody hit it? and
What is it?
splashed
No,
it?
no,
What is it, Liz?
it's on Bridge Lane. When we had mud holes near the construction site,
Bridge Lane.
Michael
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Davis.
yeah. So do you think the highway did it?
Yes,
Or-
I know they
Oh,
did.
you
I
saw
watched
it?
them.
Oh,
both.
okay. Send me
That's so
that.
funny because Jaime told
Send it to me.
the landscapers who were there, who are always parked there, he's like, take care, you know, you do that, take care of the holes. He thought the landscapers did it because
Well, it's nicer thinking of us.
Well, maybe they seeded it.
They did, but so many people parked on it now, forget it.
Yeah, we need little flags when we see the side of the road. The little flags actually do deter people
Oh,
from
okay.
driving on it. The
The
little
highway
ones.
department
Someplace
did
to
one
live.
down on Sag Road, way down by Sag
They're
Harbor.
like not signs, they're not posts, but they're tiny and it does deter people.
It does. It does.
I'd love to have the code enforcer be out at 6 AM in the morning and see all the sprinkler heads that are arching over the street. Because within a half hour or so, they start maybe around 5. You have the puddles, but you don't know where, you don't realize where it's coming from. I mean, yes, you could guess. You can get wet.
Barbara Boydenstein always gives them to me.
Oh,
Yeah, she always tells me which ones.
hopefully it went through.
Okay, got it. Okay, no,
It went through according to it, so I didn't log on to your.
I got it.
internet. Perfect.
Are we ready for an executive session then? Make a motion.
So moved.
Okay. Folks, leave, please. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
very good meeting.
Bye.
You listen to the
So is she sticking around or are we driving you home?
Hold on a minute, Bill, just
Yep.
one moment.
Are we talking about the
Okay.
next meeting?
Let's see, so there's nobody in the,
Should be fast.
the recording.